Good morning, Zio here, and it's that time of week again. It's time for our Sunday gaming roundup where we go over the topics we talked about this week. Just a quick overview of everything that we talked about, add a few things, any updates that may happen, maybe expand upon what was originally talked about, or add some things that I may have forgotten, that sort of thing, and occasionally talk about something else that, didn't exactly fit into a full-length video or anything like that, but still wanted to talk about it for a brief moment, that sort of thing. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you should go ahead and do so now. And do all the other stuff, of course, too. Like, share, all that stuff. Leave me down a comment to, I guess let me know that you seen this, you were stopped by, your opinions on stuff, things like that, because it helps to have a dialogue between multiple people, multiple mindsets, and you can't really change somebody's mind about something if you don't actually sit down and talk about it, which of course is something we typically don't do a whole lot of nowadays. We just sort of yell at people and block them and all that other stuff. So I like to have a nice open dialogue, even if I disagree with you, and even if I continue to disagree with you, we can always agree to disagree on a subject. That always happens too every so often. But anyway, with that, let's get into it, shall we? Now, of course, if this is your first time seeing me, I'm Zio. This is Zio Gaming, where we talk about nerd news and occasionally play video games. You can find me in various locations, whether it's BitChute, YouTube. You can find me on the Twitter if you've got something to add or you want to follow, and all that good stuff. Links, of course, for everything will be down in the description down below for your platform of use. If you want to actually go check out the full video and more information on a topic, you can always find it right down there, of course. And Monday we did start the week off talking about RuneScape. I sort of dived into a rabbit hole that I really wasn't sure what I was diving too much into. Did quite a bit of research looking into this stuff, but we were talking about specifically old school RuneScape, and at the time I wasn't sure the difference between the two different things. I was still doing a lot of research, had a lot of information, still am, still looking at things, still talking to different people about this, but Jagex, which is what I'm going to continue to call them because I'm not sure if that's how they're pronounced, the company behind RuneScape, has, they're really bad. I guess is a good way to put it. They have really bad security. They have really bad a lot of things. Their automated bot detecting systems aren't that great. It's sort of scattershots and pings a lot of things. Now, does the game have an issue with bots? Yes. From what I've been able to find, this game is heavily botted, but at the same time, there are a lot of players who get caught up in those bans, and they're mostly, for the most part, from what all I can figure out, with the exception of a few, a lot of the times, they're free-to-play players. Apparently there is this system where there is a membership and then free to play. Still don't quite completely fully understand it, and hopefully I'll be talking to somebody who can maybe explain that in more detail, exactly the differences between different forms there. But yeah, they seem to just sort of scattershot anything that's a free to play player if you've played for too long, because apparently people don't play these games for long lengths of time. I don't know. I mean, heck, I know WoW will automatically log you out if you've been AFK for too long, and the same thing with most MMOs. I assume they have a system like that, because I think Final Fantasy XIV also has a system like that, so you're not bogging up the servers or anything, but if you're AFK, but this way it doesn't also think you're just some random bot, I guess. But yeah, their security isn't all that great either. There's a lot of hacking going on, from people losing accounts. then those accounts getting banned because they got hacked, of course, and then started doing things that they shouldn't be doing, and then of course people incapable of getting it back, which is just it's a complete and utter mess of a game, especially considering it's one of the top MMOs currently subscribed to at this point in time. If you've never even thought about it, don't worry, you're not alone, because I sure as heck didn't think about it either. Old school RuneScape is apparently huge, still is, and with its move to mobile, it just makes things a lot worse, unfortunately. But after that, we did talk about the ESRB. If you hadn't seen that, you should go ahead and take a look at that. There's a few videos that I would definitely recommend. You've got the Krillcast out there who did a video on the ESRB, which taught me something new when it came to adult-only ratings, which then I talked about loot boxes at some point afterwards and the adult-only rating. So that video also exists. And then there's this one here where the ESRB has decided that they are finally going to do something about loot boxes. However, they're not going to actually use the term loot boxes or gambling mechanics or, anything that actually remotely, says exactly what it is that it's covering, because apparently including random items doesn't cover all forms of, or loot boxes doesn't cover all forms, because loot boxes can take the place of card packs or other random things. I'm just going to air quote all of it. Yeah, so because of that, they can't call it loot boxes, because they say apparently people don't understand what a loot box is. Well, if you give it a specific definition, like loot box being something that they've possibly have heard, which of course they do admit that most people have heard of loot boxes but may not know what they are, that would actually lead them to question somebody and say, hey, can you explain to me what loot boxes are? This game says it has loot boxes in it. What exactly is that? But just because games happen to have them listed as different things, because sometimes they're crates, sometimes they're actual boxes, sometimes they're card packs, sometimes they're, other things altogether. And, it's just a random assembly of items that you give real money for, or translate real money into some kind of crystal or diamond or whatever the flavor of the game is for its in-game currency. And then it gets translated into, randomized stuff that may or may not have a chance of actually getting, because you've seen some things where the rate drops are so low that it forces you to really engage into the system a lot in order to do it. And things like FIFA is really bad for this, and considering the games are usually rated E, they don't want something like loot boxes on the cover of that. But at the same time, it's funny because I didn't mention this in the last video. Again, like I said, we like to expand on this. Adult only ratings, right? Go watch that video. Go watch the Krillcast's video on it. But it specifically actually in the adult only rating talks about gambling mechanics, if I remember correctly, which technically are loot boxes. So anything with a loot box or includes random items should technically be under the AO rating at all times. There shouldn't be anything else with that rating on it. And the fact that they're giving it its own special rating or whatnot that says just includes random items for anyway. There's a lot here. The ESRB, in my opinion, still should be just completely dissolved and be manned by third party. A third party group that does not have their hand in the video game business, because a lot of the people on the board who are making these decisions, are you kidding me? Did anybody else see? Yeah, the lights are flashing behind me. Yep, okay. This has happened, I think, the last 3 times now, where I've been recording the Sunday Gaming Roundup. It's storming, because it's not even storming right now, but the weather doesn't look that great. And then the lights go off, or start to go off. I start to lose power. Anyway, sorry about that. Where was I? Oh yeah, the ESRB needs to be flippin' dissolved. Seriously, they need to install a third party to do all this that doesn't have a hand in the gaming industry to begin with. So maybe we can get some appropriate ratings, because I mean, heck, it's I don't know what else to say about that. It's like the system that I can't think of its name right now, but rates movies. Like a rated R movie is probably going to have a lot of blood and gore in it, but a rated PG-13 movie these days is going to have a bunch of sex in it. I don't know. It just was weird because I noticed that seemed to have been a trend at some point in time when it used to be reversed. Or maybe not PG-13, but PG something. It was a lower rating for like stuff at one point in time. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just thinking of specific movies that were like that somehow skirted the board a little bit. But yeah, gaming needs something done. Either the ESRB needs to just be gone, because it quite frankly doesn't do anything for the most part, in my opinion. It could actually do a lot of things that I don't realize it's doing. But you know, and I can change that opinion if that's the case. But no, seriously, it needs to be a third party of some kind doing that. And then we talked about Square Enix, and we talked about this here. I'm not 100% sure where all I went with this. It's been a long week, and it's just been a long week. Anyway, I'm not remembering a whole lot from this week, even though I physically talked about it. But on one hand, it does feel like something that we were talking about false flags, right? False DMCAs, that sort of thing. To us, this would be fair use, right? Here in the States, playing a game, playing it to its completion, talking about it, and other stuff with other people and things, doing a let's play, you know, that is fair use. You bought the game, you can do what you want with it. You show it off to people, talk about it. You know, we've got that, right? Well, over in Japan, things are a bit different, right? You show off certain things, they don't like it. They like to use the DMCA like a cudgel, and they just come down on people, of course, as a result. And it's not uncommon. It happens a lot with let's see, who was last doing it that I can remember. Atlas and Persona 5, I believe. After a certain point, they were DMCAing any LPs or streams or anything of the game. And of course, their reason was to prevent spoilers, right? And quite frankly, that excuse doesn't fly with me. Listen, I get it. It sucks to be spoiled on something, right? I'm doing my damnedest to not be spoiled by things that I don't want to be spoiled by, and avoiding it altogether as much as I can. However, it does happen, and if I want to purposely seek it out, of course, I should have every right to go out and seek it out. And if they're, you know, bringing it all down, I can't very well go seek it out, now can I? So whether or not this is real is completely different, or not completely different, but what I wanted to see was the person who did the strike, right? I did a video talking about strikes or something at one point in time where I showed my own DMCA from Sony of Japan, right? Where they DMCA'd 40 seconds of a Persona 5 anime that had ran in the top portion of the screen, while I was talking about censorship and changing of dialogue and bad translations and such with the game and other things. And they claim that, right? They won't release it. It's still there. It's still there. Anyway, it's going to be gone next week or next month. So kudos to that. You know, Japan's going to do what Japan's going to do. It sucks. It really does. I don't really have much more to say about that, other than it may not be a false claim. It could be legitimate. I know the post that I'm actually getting this from is talking about it being fake, but this might be a legitimate thing, but the only way to really tell is if I actually saw where it came from, the actual email or something, whatever company actually claimed this, because this doesn't tell me anything. It's just the body of the message essentially saying, hey, this has been taken down. Could be fake, could not be. Just upload at your own discretion at that point, or be careful, I guess. We didn't went into RuneScape more because I do plan to talk more about RuneScape. I want to talk to other people. I want to talk to players who have been banned. I want to talk to people who have not been banned, their thoughts on it. Heck, maybe I can even talk to J-Wealth or somebody like that. Get one of the mods or something to just explain things out there. Maybe their thought process, how things go, stuff like that. It'd be really cool to set something like that up, and hopefully I can maybe get some of that stuff rolling. That'd be kind of cool, I think. Even though I've never really done an interview in my life, I still want to sit down and talk to some of these people. So we explained what exactly old RuneScape was, Jagex itself, and went into a lot of that, and did tell one of the stories that I have seen and read about people being banned and unbanned and stuff like that, and how the customer support treated the person, that sort of thing. Then we talked about this is a Valve source code for CSGO and Team Fortress 2 leaks. Not really a whole lot has changed from that other than the memes. And some of the memes are pretty good, especially the spy hacking your system. That was pretty great. I don't know who did that, but good stuff. Anyway, still everything stands the same here. I think to really add on this that I may not have said is you probably should avoid non-Valve servers if you playing private servers, essentially, because most of the people who are going to do anything with this source code at this point are going to set up their own private server, wait for people to come to them, run their own executables and stuff along with said server as it launches and things, and then do things from there. For the most part, Valve's actual servers probably won't be affected too much, but to be on the safe side, I would probably not play CSGO or TF2 for at least a couple of weeks, a week or two. Let them flesh some things out just in case something in there is, there's an issue somewhere. But this way they can just sort of flesh everything out and get things going and all that good stuff. And of course, if you haven't gotten your coffee yet, you should probably do so. It's early. I have no idea what that is, but it's good. Anyway, so yeah, other than that, there's not really a whole lot difference to it. Is it anything major to worry about? No, it's not. It's a 2-3 year old source code that has been leaked, 2 years ago at this point already, and then re-leaked, I guess, recently. But other than that, there's not really a whole lot to worry about. Just avoid private servers and stick to Valve's servers. Valve's servers, not somebody else's server that they made, because that would be the best way to stay safe when it comes to this sort of thing. But of course, the best case scenario, of course, just stay off of it for a few weeks. And then we went back to Fallout 76 because we hadn't talked about Fallout 76 in such a long time, and Wastelanders seems to be doing pretty well for an expansion. We did praise it a little bit. People seem to legitimately like Wastelanders. Are there still bugs? Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. The bugs are still numerous when it comes to Fallout 76, and this one takes realism to a whole new level. Say you die, and the NPC you're with decides they really fancy that amazing Gatling gun you had, or that armor. Well, they're gonna pick it up and use it, and you can't get it back because they're not companions. You can't trade with them, and they can't die, so you can't loot them. Oh gosh, that's just hilarious. Talk about a bug. But yeah, the game's still riddled with bugs, still has a ton of other issues. However, Wastelanders does seem to be doing a lot better since they've released it. Maybe this game might actually become something at some point in time. I'm not going to pay the Steam price for it, that's for sure, but I already own it. I just have to download the Bethesda thing again. Anyway, Bethesda launcher. Yeah. So NPCs are just looting your dead corpse and taking off with your money, or your loot, which is horrible. Anyway, that's about all I got to say. So I think we'll end it right there, because apparently I'm still having power fluctuations behind me, because of course I am. One of the perks of living out in the country. But hey, I don't have to deal with other people too, so it's all good. So we'll go ahead and we'll just end it right there. And I guess I will... You know what? Let me know what you think about stuff down in the comments. I forgot how to even end a video. This is weird. Anyway, I will talk to y'all in the next one. See ya.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment, smash that like button, and always subscribe for more. And of course, there are other videos floating around somewhere on the screen, so click one of those and see if you can find something that suits your fancy. Till then, I'll see you later. Bye.